The tapping came from 3 feet under the snow, weak and dying, like a heartbeat the mountains were trying to smother. Maya Reynolds dropped to her knees and clawed through ice with bare hands because her German shepherd, Ranger, wouldn't stop digging, wouldn't stop whining that desperate sound that meant death was winning. When she pulled the man's frozen face into daylight, his lips were blue and his eyes weren't moving, and the duct tape around his wrists told her everything she needed to know. Someone had buried him alive. Someone wanted him gone. And now Maya, a 22-year-old Navy SEAL trying to outrun her own demons in the Montana wilderness, had just made herself their next problem. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. And if you believe in second chances and dogs who refuse to give up, hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the end, because what happens next will prove that sometimes God's rescue plan arrives on 4 paws and a warrior's stubborn heart. Maya's hands shook as she ripped the tape off the man's mouth, and Ranger pressed his body against her leg like he knew she was about to break. She'd done this before, pulled bodies from rubble, from sand, from places where hope went to die. But this was supposed to be over. She wasn't supposed to be saving anyone anymore. "Breathe," she said, and her voice cracked. "Come on, breathe." The man's chest didn't move. Maya tilted his head back and checked his airway, her training cutting through the panic that wanted to swallow her whole. His skin felt like stone under her fingers. She pressed 2 fingers against his neck and felt nothing, then adjusted and tried again. There, faint. So faint it could have been her imagination. But Ranger's nose was at the man's chest now, sniffing with that focused intensity that meant life, not death. "You don't get to die," Maya whispered. "Not today." She started compressions, hard and fast, counting under her breath, while Ranger watched with those dark eyes that had seen her fall apart too many times already. 30 compressions. She pinched the man's nose and breathed into his mouth twice, tasting snow and something metallic, and went back to compressions. Her shoulders burned. Her breath came in gasps. The cold bit through her olive t-shirt, but she didn't stop. "Please," she said, and she didn't know if she was talking to God or the man or herself. "Please don't make me carry another body." On the second round, the man's chest spasmed. He coughed once, harsh and wet, then sucked in air like he was drowning in reverse. His eyes flew open, wild and unfocused, and he tried to sit up. "Easy," Maya said, pressing him back down. "You're okay. You're safe." "No." His voice came out ruined, barely human. "Not safe. They—" He coughed again, his whole body convulsing. "Buried me. They buried me." Maya's stomach turned over. She looked at the hole Ranger had dug, at the unmarked snow around them, at the service road 50 yards away where no one ever came. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a hiking mistake. "Who buried you?" she asked. The man's eyes found hers, and what she saw there made her blood go cold. Terror. Pure animal terror. "Cops," he whispered. "Sheriff's deputies. I'm FBI, Daniel Cross. They found out I knew." Maya's mind went blank for a second, then kicked into overdrive. FBI. Buried by law enforcement. Montana backcountry where cell service was a joke and the nearest town was 40 miles of frozen road. She pulled her phone anyway, more habit than hope, and saw exactly what she expected. No signal. "How long were you under?" she asked. "Don't know." Daniel's teeth were chattering so hard he could barely speak. 2 days, maybe? Lost my watch. Lost everything. 2 days. Jesus. Maya stripped off her jacket and wrapped it around him, then grabbed the emergency blanket from her pack. Ranger moved closer, adding his body heat to the pile. Daniel's lips were still blue, his fingers black at the tips. Frostbite. Hypothermia. And if he'd been under for 2 days, his organs were shutting down. I need to get you warm, Maya said. There's a clinic about 12 miles south. Dr. Kim. She doesn't ask questions. No hospital, Daniel said, grabbing her wrist with a grip that should have been too weak to feel. They'll know. They'll finish it. You're dying, Maya said flatly. Then I die knowing. His eyes locked on hers. Trafficking ring. Women. Girls. Sheriff Marcus Vance runs it through federal land. I had evidence. Flash drives. Photos. They took it when they grabbed me, but I hid copies. If I go to a hospital, they'll know I'm alive, and they'll kill everyone I talk to. Maya felt her heart kick against her ribs. This was Syria again. This was the moment where she had to choose between the mission and the person bleeding in front of her. And last time, she'd chosen wrong. Last time, 3 civilians died because she trusted the wrong intel, the wrong promise, the wrong ally. Where's the evidence? She asked. My truck, hidden compartment under the driver's seat. Blue Ford Ranger, parked behind the Timberline Motel off Route 12. He coughed, and blood flecked his lips. If I don't make it, you get those drives to Agent Lisa Park, FBI Internal Affairs, Denver Field Office. Only her, no one else. You're going to make it, Maya said, but her voice sounded hollow, even to herself. Ranger whined and nudged Daniel's hand. Daniel's fingers moved, just barely, and touched the dog's head. Good boy, he whispered. You found me. Good boy. Maya made a decision. She pulled out her satellite messenger, the one her therapist had insisted she carry after the nightmares got bad, and typed a message to the only person she trusted in Montana. Medical emergency. Need Dr. Kim at the ranch. No police. Critical. She hit send, then looked at Daniel. Can you walk? No. Can you try? Daniel's jaw tightened. He nodded. Getting him up took everything. He weighed maybe 190, all muscle and ice-cold dead weight. And Maya was strong, but not strong enough to carry a grown man 12 miles through snow. She got into his feet, got his arm over her shoulders, and started moving. Ranger led the way, breaking trail through the powder, looking back every few steps to make sure they were following. They made it maybe a quarter mile before Daniel's legs gave out. Leave me, he said, slumping against a tree. You can't carry me. Watch me. Maya adjusted her grip, got lower, and pulled him into a fireman's carry. Her legs screamed, her back threatened to snap. She took one step, then another, breathing through the pain, counting in her head like she used to count during Hell Week at BUD/S. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why are you doing this? Daniel asked, his voice barely audible against her shoulder. Because I didn't save the last ones, Maya said. She didn't explain. She didn't have to. Ranger stayed close, his presence the only thing keeping her from falling apart. The snow started coming down harder, erasing their tracks, which was either a blessing or a trap. She couldn't tell anymore. Her thighs burned. Her lungs burned. Everything burned. Maya, Daniel said. That's your name, right? On the dog tag? Yeah. Maya, if I don't make it, shut up. If I don't make it, there's a girl, Emma Garcia, 16. Sheriff has her in a holding cell at the old mining facility on Vance's property. She's supposed to be transported tomorrow night. If you don't stop it... Maya's foot caught on something under the snow, and she went down hard. Daniel hit the ground beside her, gasping, and Ranger was there instantly, licking his face, whining that sound that meant, get up, get up, get up. Maya pushed herself to her knees. Her hands were shaking. Not from cold, from rage. There's a 16-year-old girl, she said slowly, and you want me to let you die? I want you to save her. I'm going to save both of you. She hauled him up again, adjusted the weight, and kept walking. The ranch appeared through the trees like a miracle, small and dark and safe. Dr. Kim's truck was already there, parked crooked in the drive like she'd been speeding. Sarah Kim met them at the door, a woman in her 50s with gray streaks in her black hair and hands that never stopped moving. She took one look at Daniel and started barking orders. "Get him inside! Warm water, not hot! Blankets! Move!" They carried Daniel to the couch. Sarah cut away his clothes with medical scissors, revealing bruises, burns, marks that told a story Maya didn't want to read. Someone had hurt him before they buried him. Someone had wanted him to suffer. "Who did this?" Sarah asked, her voice tight. "Sheriff's deputies," Maya said. Sarah's hands paused for just a second, then kept working. "Of course they did." "You knew?" "I've been patching up people who can't go to hospitals for 15 years, Maya. I know exactly who runs this county." Sarah checked Daniel's pulse, his pupils, his core temperature. "He's at 92 degrees. Another hour and his heart would have stopped." "How did you find him?" "Ranger found him." Sarah looked at the German shepherd, who was sitting beside the couch like a guardian angel with fur. "Then Ranger just saved this man's life." Daniel's eyes opened, barely. "Emma," he whispered. "Did she tell you?" "She told me," Maya said. "Tomorrow night. They move her tomorrow night." Sarah looked at Maya. "What's he talking about?" "Trafficking ring," Maya said. "Sheriff Vance. And I need to steal evidence from an FBI agent's truck before someone else finds it." Sarah closed her eyes briefly, like she was praying or cursing, then nodded. "I'll keep him alive. You do what you have to do." Maya grabbed her jacket, checked her Sig Sauer M18 holstered under her shirt, and looked at Ranger. "You coming?" Ranger's ears went up. He knew that tone. That was the tone that meant work. Real work. The kind that mattered. They took Sarah's truck because Maya's SUV was still at the trailhead, and drove into town with the heat blasting and the radio silent. The Timberline Motel was exactly what Maya expected. Cheap, forgotten, the kind of place where people paid cash and didn't make eye contact. The blue Ford Ranger sat in the back lot, covered in snow. Maya parked 3 spaces down and scanned the area. No movement, no lights, just wind and dark, and the feeling that someone was watching. She reached under the driver's seat of Sarah's truck and found what she'd hoped for, a tire iron. "Stay," she told Ranger, and got out. The cold hit her like a fist. She crossed to Daniel's truck, keeping low, and tried the door. Locked. She looked around once more, then used the tire iron to pop the lock. The sound was too loud in the silence, but no one came running. She climbed in and felt under the driver's seat. Her fingers found a hidden latch. She pressed it, and the compartment dropped open. Inside were 3 flash drives, a burner phone, and a stack of photos wrapped in plastic. Maya grabbed everything and was halfway out of the truck when headlights swept across the parking lot. A sheriff's cruiser. Her heart stopped. She dropped low, pressed against the truck's frame, and watched as the cruiser rolled past slowly, spotlights sweeping across the vehicles. It paused on Daniel's Ranger. The spotlight lingered. Maya's hand found her pistol. The cruiser kept moving, circling the lot once, twice, then pulled out onto the highway and disappeared. Maya breathed again. She sprinted back to Sarah's truck, threw herself inside, and Ranger licked her face like he'd thought she wasn't coming back. "Let's go," she said, and they drove. Back at the ranch, Sarah had Daniel wrapped in heated blankets, IV fluids running, his color better but still gray. He opened his eyes when Maya walked in. "You got it?" he asked. Maya held up the flash drives. "I got it." Daniel's shoulders sagged. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Maya said. Now I need to figure out how to take down a sheriff, save a 16-year-old girl, and not die in the process. You're military, Daniel said. What branch? Navy. SEAL. His eyes widened. You're a SEAL? Was. I'm on leave. Why? Maya looked at him, at this man who'd been buried alive and was still trying to save other people. And something in her chest cracked open. Because I failed, she said quietly, and I've been running from it ever since. Ranger pressed against her leg. Maya sank down on the floor beside him, suddenly exhausted, and Daniel's voice came from the couch, soft and certain. You didn't fail tonight. Outside, the snow kept falling. Somewhere in the dark, a corrupt sheriff was looking for a dead man who wasn't dead anymore. And in a holding cell, Maya couldn't see but could feel in her bones. A girl named Emma was waiting for someone to remember she mattered. Maya looked at the flash drives in her hand. Tell me everything, she said to Daniel, and don't leave anything out. Daniel's hands trembled as he reached for the flash drives, and Sarah moved between them with the automatic authority of someone who'd spent 30 years telling people what they needed, whether they wanted to hear it or not. You're not touching anything until your core temp hits 95, Sarah said. Maya can read them to you. They're encrypted, Daniel said. Then you can talk her through it. Maya pulled out the burner phone and powered it on. The screen showed 17 missed calls from the same number, all from yesterday. She showed it to Daniel. That's Agent Park, he said. Lisa. She's the only one I trust at the Bureau. We were academy classmates. She went internal affairs, I went organized crime. When I found evidence that Sheriff Vance had federal protection, I called her. Federal protection from who? Maya asked. Daniel's jaw tightened. U.S. Marshal Thomas Brennan. He's been on Vance's payroll for 6 years. Every time an investigation got close, Brennan buried it. Reassigned agents, lost paperwork, contaminated evidence chains. He's the reason this ring has been operating since 2018. Maya felt something cold settle in her stomach. A federal marshal. Not just any marshal. Brennan runs witness protection placements for the entire Mountain West region. He has access to every safe house, every relocated witness, every protected family in 5 states. Daniel coughed, and blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. Sarah was there immediately with gauze. He's been selling that information. Families in witness protection, relocated abuse victims, anyone who thought they were safe. Vance's people find them, and they disappear into the pipeline. Jesus Christ, Maya whispered. There's more, Daniel said. The mining facility where they're holding Emma? It's on federal land. Land that was supposed to be closed for environmental contamination in 2019. Brennan made sure the closure never happened. No EPA oversight, no federal inspections, just a shell company lease and Vance's operation running in the dark. Maya inserted the first flash drive into the burner phone. The encryption screen loaded, asking for a 12-digit code. November 6, 2008, Daniel said. My daughter's birthday. The words hit Maya like a physical blow. You have a daughter? Had. Daniel's eyes went somewhere else. Leukemia. She was 9. That's why I transferred to trafficking cases. Emma's the same age Rachel would have been. The files opened. Maya scrolled through surveillance photos, financial records, text message logs, everything you'd need to build a RICO case. Then she saw the photos of the girls. Young faces, scared faces, some crying, some empty like they'd already died inside. How many? She asked quietly. 43 that I could document, but the financial records suggest double that over 6 years. Ranger made a low sound in his throat and pressed closer to Maya. He always knew when the darkness was winning. Who else knows you're alive? Maya asked. Just you and Sarah now. Lisa knows I went dark, but she doesn't know what happened. My last call to her was 48 hours ago, right before Vance's deputies grabbed me. We need to call her. Not from here. They'll be monitoring federal frequencies. If Lisa sends backup, Brennan will hear about it before the cavalry even loads up. Daniel tried to sit up and nearly passed out. Sarah pushed him back down. Stop being a hero, Sarah said. You've lost 2 pints of blood, 3 toes to frostbite, and your kidneys are barely functioning. Maya can handle this part. She's one person, Daniel said. I'm one SEAL, Maya corrected. There's a difference. You're on medical leave. Maya's hands went still on the phone. How do you know that? Your dog tag says active duty. You said was a SEAL, past tense. And you're in Montana instead of Virginia Beach. I've been reading people for 15 years, Maya. What happened? The memories came back, hard and fast. Syrian desert, a compound raid that was supposed to be empty. Children's voices in the dark. And then the explosion. Maya had made the call to breach. 3 civilians died because she trusted bad intelligence from someone she thought was an ally. I made a mistake, she said. People died. But you're still here. That's the problem. Daniel's eyes held hers. You saved my life today. You're about to save Emma's. That counts for something. Before Maya could answer, headlights swept across the front window. Sarah moved to look and went rigid. Sheriff's cruiser, she said. Coming up the drive. Maya's training kicked in before her brain caught up. She grabbed the flash drives, shoved them in her pocket, and pulled her cig. Back door? Kitchen, Sarah said. But if you run, they'll know something's wrong. I don't get visitors at midnight unless someone's dying. Someone is dying, Maya said, looking at Daniel. Then I'll handle it, Sarah said. You hide him. They moved Daniel fast, Maya and Sarah carrying him between them, while Ranger followed with his ears flat against his head. Sarah's house was small, just 4 rooms and a basement that smelled like old stone and medical supplies. They got Daniel down the stairs and onto a cot behind a shelf of IV bags and surgical equipment. Don't move, Maya whispered. Don't make a sound. What are you going to do? Daniel asked. Whatever I have to. She went back upstairs just as someone knocked on the front door. 3 hard raps that sounded more like a warning than a request. Sarah smoothed her shirt, took a breath, and opened it. The deputy standing there was his vehicle still parked at the Timberline Motel, but there's no sign of him. I haven't seen any FBI agents, Sarah said, and her voice didn't waver. Holloway's eyes moved past her into the house. Mind if I take a look around? Do you have a warrant? Just being thorough, ma'am. Man goes missing in weather like this, we want to make sure he didn't try to find shelter somewhere. He didn't find it here. Maya watched from the kitchen doorway, her hand on her pistol, hidden behind the wall. Ranger was beside her, silent and coiled tight. She could see the calculation in Holloway's eyes, see him trying to decide if pushing harder was worth whatever he'd find. That your dog? Holloway asked suddenly. Maya stepped into view. He's mine. Holloway's gaze swept over her. Military haircut grown out a few months. Tactical pants. Posture that said combat veteran, even without the uniform. His expression changed slightly, became more careful. And you are? Maya Reynolds. I'm renting Dr. Kim's back cabin. You military? Navy. Medical leave. What brings you to Montana? Privacy, Maya said flatly. Holloway smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Fair enough. You haven't seen anyone unusual around here? Maybe someone injured? Disoriented? Just deer and snow. He looked at Ranger again. That's a German shepherd. They're good trackers. He's retired, Maya lied. Retired from what? Maya felt her pulse kick up, but kept her face neutral. Bomb detection. Iraq and Afghanistan. Holloway nodded slowly. Well, if you do see anything, give the sheriff's office a call. We're real concerned about Agent Cross. He's got family waiting for him. I thought you said he was FBI, Sarah said quietly. Don't they usually handle their own missing persons? Holloway's smile went cold. FBI asked for our assistance. Interagency cooperation. You know how it is. I really don't, Sarah said. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Holloway touched the brim of his hat and stepped back. Have a good night, ladies. Stay warm. He walked back to his cruiser, but he didn't leave immediately. He sat there with his window down, radio crackling, watching the house. Maya counted to 60 before he finally pulled away. Sarah closed the door and leaned against it. They know he's alive. How? Because if they thought he was dead, they wouldn't be looking. They'd be waiting for spring thaw to find his body. Maya went to the basement. Daniel was sitting up, his face white, one hand pressed against his ribs. They're hunting for you, Maya said. Then we need to move fast. The shipment's tomorrow night. If we don't stop it— You're not stopping anything, Sarah interrupted from the stairs. You can barely breathe, let alone raid a trafficking facility. Then Maya does it. I'm one person, Maya said. You're a Navy SEAL. On medical leave for PTSD because you made one bad call that cost lives, and now you're terrified of making another one. Daniel's voice was hard now, cutting through her excuses. I get it, but Emma doesn't have time for you to work through your trauma, Maya. She's got maybe 18 hours before they put her in a van and she's gone forever. Maya's hands balled into fists. You want me to go in alone against how many hostiles? Call Lisa. Tell her to bring clean agents from Denver. Federal jurisdiction supersedes local law enforcement. And if Brennan finds out? Then we're all dead anyway. Daniel pulled something from his pocket, a small key on a chain. There's a storage unit in Billings, number 47. My backup evidence is there. Hard copies of everything, plus weapons and tactical gear. If I don't make it, you take that to Lisa, and you burn this whole thing down. You're going to make it, Maya said. Promise me you'll save Emma first. Maya took the key. I promise I'll save both of you. She went upstairs and dialed the number from Daniel's missed calls. It rang 4 times before a woman answered, voice sharp with exhaustion. This is Park. Agent Park, my name is Maya Reynolds. I'm calling about Daniel Cross. There was a pause, then movement, the sound of a door closing. Who is this? A friend. Daniel's alive, but he's in bad shape. He was buried by Sheriff Vance's deputies 2 days ago. I pulled him out. Where is he? Safe for now. But there's a problem. He said you're the only one he trusts. Something about a U.S. Marshal on Vance's payroll. Thomas Brennan, Lisa said quietly. Daniel called me about him 3 days ago. Said he had proof Brennan's been protecting a trafficking ring. Then Daniel went dark. Where are you? Montana, near the Canadian border. Daniel says there's a girl, Emma Garcia, 16, being held at a mining facility. They're moving her tomorrow night. Jesus, okay, I can have a tactical team there by dawn. No, Maya said. Not through official channels. Brennan will hear about it. Then what do you want me to do? Maya looked at Ranger, at Sarah, at the basement stairs where Daniel was dying by degrees. How many clean agents can you bring off book? 4, maybe 5. But that's not enough for a facility raid. It is if you've got a SEAL running point. Lisa was quiet for a moment. Your military? Was. Special operations. I know how to clear buildings. Against how many hostiles? Daniel estimated 8 to 12 guards, plus Vance himself. That's suicide. It's Tuesday, Maya said. And a 16-year-old girl doesn't have time for us to build a perfect plan. She heard Lisa exhale slowly. Give me a location. I'll rally my team and head your way. But Maya, if this goes wrong, we're all facing federal charges for unauthorized operations. If this goes wrong, we're all dead. Federal charges are the least of our problems. Maya gave her the coordinates to Sarah's ranch and hung up. When she turned, Ranger was watching her with those eyes that saw everything. I know, she told him. This is crazy. Ranger's tail wagged once. From the basement, she heard Daniel coughing, then Sarah's calm voice talking him through it. Maya pulled out the flash drives again and started going through the evidence. Financial records showed wire transfers from offshore accounts to Sheriff Vance. Surveillance photos showed deputies loading cargo into unmarked vans. Text messages coordinated shipment schedules like they were moving furniture, not human beings. Then she found the personnel files. Names and faces of everyone working the pipeline. Deputies, truckers, buyers, facilitators. 37 people in total. But it was the last file that made her stomach drop. Marshal Thomas Brennan's protected witness list. 40 names, 40 families who thought they were safe, and next to each name was a red stamp. Compromised. Every single person on that list was either dead or missing. Maya's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Know you're hiding him. Give him up and walk away. Last chance. She showed it to Sarah. They're not going to stop, Sarah said. I know. So what's the plan? Maya looked at her pistol, at the tactical gear in her pack, at Ranger sitting ready like he'd been waiting his whole life for this moment. We stop running, Maya said, and we hit them first. Agent Lisa Park arrived at dawn with 3 people who looked like they'd driven all night, which they had. She was 42, Korean-American, with short black hair and the kind of eyes that cataloged everything in a room before she said hello. The agents with her were younger, harder, the type who didn't ask questions when their supervisor said pack for trouble. Daniel was upstairs now, breathing better but still gray around the edges. Sarah had him on antibiotics and IV fluids, buying time that might not exist. He tried to stand when Lisa came in, but she waved him down. Stay put, Cross. You look like hell. Feel worse, Daniel said. Thanks for coming. Thank Maya. She's the one who made it sound urgent enough to risk my pension. Lisa turned to Maya, sizing her up the way cops do when they're trying to decide if someone's an asset or a liability. You really SEAL qualified? Bud/S Class 371, Maya said. 6 years active, 3 deployments. And you're on leave, why? Maya met her eyes. Because I called an op wrong and civilians died. Syria, last October. Lisa nodded slowly, like that answer told her everything she needed. Can you still shoot? Better than I can sleep. Good enough. Lisa pulled out a tablet and loaded satellite imagery of the mining facility. This is what we're looking at. 40 acres, mostly abandoned buildings. Main structure is the old processing plant. 3 stories, reinforced concrete. Daniel's intel says they're holding the girl on the 2nd floor, northwest corner. How current is that intel? Maya asked. 72 hours. She could be anywhere by now. Or she could be exactly where Daniel said. Lisa zoomed in on the access roads. There's 2 ways in. North gate's got a guard shack, usually 2 deputies rotating shifts. South entrance is chained, but there's no active surveillance. That you know of, Maya said. That I know of, Lisa agreed. Which is why we're going to do this smart. Recon first, then tactical planning. We don't have time for slow, Maya said. We don't have time for stupid either. Lisa's voice went flat. You might be used to operating with SEAL teams and air support, but this is 4 FBI agents, 1 SEAL on medical leave, and a dog. We go in loud without knowing the layout? We're all dead and Emma's still gone. Maya wanted to argue, but Lisa was right. Rushing was how people died. She'd learned that in Syria. What do you need from me? Maya asked. Can you get eyes on that facility without being seen? Maya looked at Ranger. We can try. They left an hour later, Maya and Ranger in Sarah's truck, taking back roads that barely qualified as roads. Lisa's team stayed behind to coordinate with Daniel, mapping guard rotations and shift changes based on cell phone records they'd pulled from Daniel's evidence. The mining facility sat at the end of a gravel road that looked like it hadn't been maintained since the 90s. Maya parked 2 miles out and went the rest of the way on foot. Ranger moved beside her in that low, focused way that meant he was working now, every sense tuned to threat detection. The fence appeared through the trees, 12 feet of chain link topped with razor wire. Maya followed it south, staying in the tree line, counting cameras. She spotted 4, all pointed at the gates. The south entrance was exactly what Lisa had described, chained and locked. But the ground around it was disturbed, fresh tire tracks cutting through old snow. Someone's been using this, Maya whispered to Ranger. She kept moving, circling the perimeter until she found what she was looking for. A drainage culvert, half collapsed, big enough for a person to crawl through if they didn't mind getting dirty. Maya marked the location on her phone and kept going. The main building loomed against the gray sky, windows broken or boarded, the kind of structure that looked dead from the outside. But there was smoke coming from a vent on the east side, and 2 vehicles parked near the loading dock, a sheriff's cruiser and a black SUV with government plates. Maya's stomach tightened. Federal plates meant Brennan. She was taking photos when Ranger went rigid beside her. His ears snapped forward, his body dropping into that alert stance that meant contact. Maya froze, listening. Voices. 2 men, walking the fence line maybe 50 yards away. She couldn't see them yet, but she could hear them getting closer. I'm telling you, Cross is alive, the first voice said. Holloway saw the Kim woman acting weird last night, and there was a girl with her, military type. So what? The second voice replied. Lots of military in Montana. With a German shepherd? Right after we bury an FBI agent and his body disappears? They were 10 yards away now. Maya pressed herself against a tree, hand on her pistol, breathing shallow. Ranger was absolutely still, waiting for her signal. Vance wants us to search Kim's place, the first voice said. Tonight, after we move the cargo. What about the girl, Emma? She goes with the others. Brennan's got a buyer in Calgary, some brothel operation. Should clear 40 grand. Maya's vision went red. Her hand tightened on her pistol, and every instinct screamed to step out and end these men right here. But that wasn't the mission. The mission was Emma, was evidence, was bringing down the whole network. She stayed hidden. The men passed within 5 feet of her position, never knowing death was breathing a few yards away. Maya waited until they were gone, then moved fast back toward the culvert. She needed to get inside that building. The drainage pipe was worse than it looked, half full of freezing water and rust-sharp metal edges. Maya crawled through it anyway, Ranger following without complaint, both of them soaked and filthy by the time they emerged inside the fence line. Maya checked her surroundings. The loading dock was 30 yards away, the building's back entrance another 20 beyond that. No guards visible, but that didn't mean anything. She ran, made it to the back entrance without raising an alarm. The door was locked, But the lock was old, and Maya had learned how to bypass these in SEER training. 30 seconds later, she was inside. The building's interior was darkness and decay. Old machinery rusting in corners, concrete floors cracked and stained. But there were new elements too. Fresh wiring running along the ceiling, LED work lights, the smell of cigarettes, and something else. Something that made Ranger's hackles rise. Fear. Human fear had a smell, and this place reeked of it. Maya moved deeper into the building, following the sound of voices above her. The second floor was accessible through a service stairwell, the door propped open with a concrete block. She could hear someone talking. Male voice, lazy and mean. "Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about." Then a girl's voice, broken and terrified. "Please, I just want to go home." "You don't got a home anymore, sweetheart." Maya's pulse hammered in her ears. That was Emma. Had to be. She signaled Ranger to stay close and started up the stairs, moving silent and smooth, the way they'd taught her at CQB school. The second floor was divided into offices, most of them stripped bare. But one door at the northwest corner had a new padlock on it, and light showing underneath. Maya pressed her ear to the door and heard breathing, heard crying, heard the guard's footsteps pacing. One guard, one hostage. She could take him right now. But then what? She was 2 miles from backup, inside a hostile facility, with no extraction plan and no idea how many more hostiles were in the building. Taking the guard meant going loud, and going loud meant Emma became a liability instead of a rescue. Maya pulled back and cleared the rest of the floor. Found 2 more rooms with padlocks, heard movement behind both of them. More girls. Jesus Christ, Daniel had said Emma was the only one, but there were at least 3. She took photos of everything. The rooms, the locks, the hallway layout. Then she found the office that made her hands shake. It was set up like a command center. Computers, file cabinets, a wall covered in maps with routes marked in red. Shipping manifests sat on the desk, listing cargo and destinations like they were moving livestock. Each manifest had a buyer code and a payment amount. Maya photographed everything, her anger growing with each click. Then she found the personnel schedule. Guard rotation changed at 6 p.m. Current count, 8 hostiles on site, including 2 deputies and Marshal Brennan himself. Transport scheduled for 8 p.m. tonight. 3 vehicles, 12 girls total. 12. Not just Emma. 12 human beings about to vanish. Maya was downloading files to a thumb drive when she heard it. Footsteps on the stairs, multiple people, moving fast. "Check every floor," a voice barked. "Someone's been in the south fence." They'd found her truck. Maya grabbed Ranger and ran. She made it to the service stairs, but voices were already echoing from below. She pivoted, found a maintenance ladder leading to the roof access, and climbed. Ranger followed, his claws scraping against metal rungs. The roof was flat concrete and ice. Maya crossed it at a dead run, looking for options. The building was 3 stories up, but there was a lower section to the east, maybe a 15-foot drop. She could make that. Behind her, the roof access door banged open. "There!" Maya didn't think. She grabbed Ranger, held him tight against her chest, and jumped. They hit the lower roof hard. Maya rolled to absorb the impact, protecting Ranger with her body, pain exploding through her shoulder. She heard something crack, but didn't stop moving. She scrambled to the edge, found a drain pipe, and slid down it like her life depended on it. Which it did. Gunfire erupted above her. Bullets sparked off metal, chipped concrete. Maya hit the ground running, Ranger matching her stride, both of them racing for the fence line. More shots, closer now. One round zipped past her ear, close enough to feel. She reached the culvert and dove through it, not caring about the water or the cuts or anything except getting out alive. Rangers splashed through behind her, and they emerged on the other side, already sprinting for the tree line. They made it to Sarah's truck, and Maya floored it, gravel spraying, engine roaring. She didn't breathe normally until they were 5 miles away and no one was following. Her phone buzzed, Lisa calling. "Where are you?" Lisa demanded. "Heading back. They made me." "Are you injured?" Maya looked down at herself, soaked, bleeding from a dozen cuts, shoulders screaming. "I'm fine. That's not what I asked. I got what we needed. 12 girls, Lisa, not one. 12. And they're moving them tonight." Lisa was quiet for a moment. "Then we move first. Get back here. We're planning this op right now." Maya drove faster, one hand on the wheel, the other on Ranger's head. He was panting hard, but unhurt, looking at her with those eyes that said, "I'd follow you through fire." "I know, buddy," she whispered. "I know." When she got back to the ranch, Daniel was on the couch with a laptop, Lisa and her team surrounding him. They'd spread the satellite imagery across the coffee table like a war council. "Welcome back," Lisa said. "You look like you went swimming." "Close enough." Maya pulled out the thumb drive and handed it over. "Guard schedule, transport manifest, facility layout. Everything you need." Lisa loaded the files, and her expression went dark. 12 girls. Jesus. "There's more," Maya said. "Brennan's on site right now. He's coordinating the transport personally." "Then we take him too," one of Lisa's agents said. His name was Torres, late 20s, built like a linebacker. "Two birds, one raid." "It's not that simple," Daniel said from the couch. "Brennan's a federal marshal. If we take him down without ironclad evidence, his lawyers will bury us." "We have evidence," Maya said. "Those files show wire transfers, buyer codes, everything." "Digital evidence can be challenged. We need physical proof. Documents, recordings, something that can't be disputed." "Then we get it during the raid," Maya said. "Or we wait for a better opportunity," Lisa countered. "Those girls don't have time to wait." The room went silent. Maya looked at each of them, saw the calculation happening, the risk assessment, the knowledge that this could cost them everything. "I'm going in tonight," Maya said quietly. "With or without you. If 12 people are about to be sold like cattle and I do nothing, then Syria meant nothing. My teammates died for nothing. Everything I've been running from catches up anyway." Daniel met her eyes. "You'll die trying." "Maybe. But at least I'll die doing something that matters." Lisa looked at her team. "Show of hands. Who's in?" Every hand went up. "Then we do this right," Lisa said. "Maya, you're on point for tactical. Daniel, you coordinate from here. Everyone else, gear up. We've got 8 hours to plan an op that should take 8 weeks. Maya's phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. The text made her blood run cold. "Found your truck. Found your tracks. Give up Cross and the evidence by sunset, or Emma Garcia dies slow. Your choice, SEAL." She showed it to the room. "They know who you are," Lisa said. "Good," Maya said, and her voice was ice. "Let them know I'm coming." They moved at sunset, 5 vehicles spread across 2 miles of back roads, converging on the mining facility like a fist closing. Maya rode with Torres and Agent Chen, a sniper who looked barely old enough to vote, but had the kind of steady hands that came from putting rounds on target when it mattered. Lisa took point in the lead vehicle with Agent Kowalski, a former Army Ranger who'd traded his uniform for a badge, but still moved like he was carrying 60 pounds of gear. Ranger sat in the back with Maya, his head on her thigh, warm and solid and ready. 10 minutes out, Lisa's voice crackled through the radio. Radio silence from here. Maya, you're cleared hot once we're in position. Maya clicked twice in acknowledgement and checked her weapon for the third time. Sig Sauer M18, 3 spare mags, suppressor threaded and ready. She wasn't going to war. She was going to get 12 girls out of hell. Daniel's voice came through her earpiece, weaker than it should be, but determined. Security feed shows 8 hostiles, 4 inside, 4 on perimeter. Brennan's in the command office, 2nd floor. Vance is with the transport crew, loading dock. Copy, Maya said. What about the girls? Still locked on 2nd floor, northwest section. Same 3 rooms you saw. Guard count in the hallway? 1, but Maya, he's armed with an AR-15. You can't go through the front. I'm not planning to. They parked a mile out and went the rest of the way on foot, moving through darkness with night vision that turned the world into shades of green. Maya led the way to the drainage culvert, Ranger at her side. Lisa's team spreading out to cover the north and east approaches. In position, Kowalski whispered through comms. South entry secured, Chen confirmed. Maya reached the culvert and paused. This was it. Last chance to think, to plan, to remember all the reasons charging into a hostile facility with minimal backup was how people died. But Emma Garcia was inside, and 11 other girls whose names Maya didn't know, but whose lives mattered just as much. She thought about Syria, about the compound that was supposed to be empty, about trusting bad intel and making the call anyway because waiting felt worse than acting. This time was different. This time, she knew exactly what she was walking into. Ranger, quiet, she whispered. They crawled through the culvert, emerged inside the fence line, and moved toward the building's back entrance. Maya picked the lock again, faster this time, muscle memory and adrenaline working together. The door opened with a soft click. Inside, the building breathed with the sound of men who thought they were safe. Footsteps above, voices arguing about sports, the hiss of a radio. Maya moved through the ground floor like smoke, clearing corners, checking angles, Ranger shadowing her every step. The service stairs waited ahead. Maya started up, weapon raised, breathing controlled. 1 step. 2. 3. A door opened above her. Maya froze. Footsteps coming down, heavy boots, someone whistling. She pressed against the wall, Ranger motionless beside her, both of them barely breathing. The guard passed within inches, close enough that Maya could smell his cologne. He never looked back, never knew death had touched his shoulder. Maya reached the 2nd floor and held position at the stairwell door. Through the small window, she could see the hallway. 1 guard sitting in a chair outside the locked rooms, AR-15 across his lap, phone in his hand. He looked bored. 2nd floor, 1 hostile, Maya whispered into her mic. I can take him silent. Wait for my signal, Lisa replied. We need eyes on Brennan first. Maya waited, every second feeling like an hour. Then Chen's voice came through, calm and professional. I have visual on the command office. Target confirmed. Marshal Bremen, 2 additional hostiles. Can you take the shot? Lisa asked. Negative. Too many civilians in the background. I'd need him to move to the window. Then we make him move, Lisa said. Maya, on my mark, you breach. Torres, Kowalski, you're on the loading dock. We hit them all at once. No one gets time to think. Maya's heart kicked into overdrive. She signaled Ranger to stay, then moved into position behind the stairwell door. The guard in the hallway was maybe 20 feet away, still looking at his phone. 3, Lisa counted down. 2, 1, execute. Maya burst through the door and covered the distance in 3 strides. The guard looked up just as she drove the butt of her pistol into his temple. He went down without a sound. Maya caught the AR-15 before it hit the floor, then kicked his sidearm away. "Second floor secure," she whispered. "Moving to the rooms." She tried the first padlock with a pry bar from her kit. It snapped, and the door swung open. 3 girls huddled in the corner, young faces streaked with tears, terror in their eyes. "FBI," Maya said quietly. "You're safe now. Stay quiet and stay together." She moved to the second room. 2 more girls, both crying, both too scared to speak. Maya's throat tightened, but she kept moving. Third room. Emma Garcia sat against the wall, bruised but defiant, her eyes meeting Maya's with something that looked like hope. "Are you Emma?" Maya asked. The girl nodded. "I'm Maya. Daniel Cross sent me. We're getting you out." "There are more," Emma whispered. "4th room, end of the hall. They locked 6 girls in there yesterday." Maya's stomach dropped. Daniel's intel had been wrong. Not 12 girls, 14. "Lisa, we have 14 hostages," Maya said into her mic. "Repeat, 14. "Copy. Get them to the extraction point. We're engaging at the loading dock." The sound of gunfire erupted from below, sharp cracks that echoed through the building. Maya heard shouting, heard someone screaming, heard the chaos that came when plans collided with reality. She got the girls moving, all 11 of them, shepherding them toward the service stairs. "Stay low, stay quiet, follow me." That's when the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in a second later, bathing everything in red. And through the darkness, Maya heard boots pounding up the main stairwell. Multiple hostiles, moving fast, coming for the girls. "Contact," Maya said, and pushed the girls behind her. "Get down!" 3 men burst into the hallway, weapons up. Maya fired twice, center mass, and the first man dropped. The second got a round off that punched through the wall near her head. She shifted, fired again, and he went down. The third man raised his hands. "Don't shoot," he said. "I'm just security. I didn't know what they were doing here." "On your knees," Maya ordered. "Hands behind your head." She zip-tied him while Ranger kept watch, then got the girls moving again. They made it to the service stairs when an explosion rocked the building. The loading dock, maybe, or the north entrance. Maya didn't know and didn't have time to ask. "Maya, we have a problem," Torres's voice came through, strained. "Brennan had backup. Federal vehicles just arrived. 4 more agents." "They're claiming jurisdiction. Are they clean?" Maya asked. "Unknown. But they're armed and they're not backing down." This was falling apart. Maya got the girls to the ground floor and found the back exit blocked by 2 men in federal jackets. They weren't pointing guns, but their hands were close to their holsters. "Stand down," one of them said. "We're taking custody of these witnesses." "On whose authority?" Maya demanded. "Marshal Brennan. This is a federal trafficking investigation. You're interfering." Maya's mind raced. If these were Brennan's people, turning over the girls meant they'd disappear forever. But if she fought federal agents, even dirty ones, she'd be crossing a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Then Daniel's voice came through her earpiece, sharp and urgent. "Maya, those aren't real feds. I just ran their badge numbers through the database. They're contractors. Brennan's hired muscle pretending to be federal agents." Maya's decision took half a second. She raised her weapon. "Step aside, or I drop you where you stand." The fake agents went for their guns. Maya fired first, 2 rounds each, non-lethal, but incapacitating. They went down hard, cursing and bleeding. She stepped over them and got the girls outside, where Lisa was waiting with 2 vehicles. "Load them up," Lisa ordered. "We're burning this place down." They got the girls loaded just as more gunfire erupted from inside. Maya turned back, Ranger at her side, and saw Torres emerge, dragging Kowalski, who was bleeding from a leg wound. "Brennan's people are everywhere," Torres said. "We need to fall back." "Not without Brennan," Maya said. "He's already gone, slipped out during the firefight. Sheriff Vance, too." Maya's hands clenched into fists. "They can't just disappear." "They didn't," Daniel's voice said in her ear. "I tracked Brennan's phone. He's heading north on Route 12, probably making for the Canadian border." "How far ahead?" 10 minutes, maybe less." Maya looked at the girls being loaded into vehicles, at Torres trying to stop Kowalski's bleeding, at the chaos around her. She could stay and help, or she could go after the men who'd made all of this possible. "Lisa, get these girls to safety," Maya said. "I'm going after Brennan." "That's not the mission," Lisa said. "It is now." Maya ran for Sarah's truck, with Ranger racing beside her. She floored it out of the facility, tires screaming, heading north toward Route 12. Her hands were shaking on the wheel, adrenaline and rage mixing into something cold and focused. Daniel's voice guided her. "He's 5 miles ahead. Black SUV, government plates. Maya, listen to me. You can't do this alone. Watch me." She pushed the truck to 80, 90, 100. The highway was empty, just darkness and snow and the promise of violence ahead. Then she saw the taillights. Black SUV, exactly like Daniel described. Maya accelerated and pulled alongside. Through the window, she saw Brennan's face, saw his eyes widen in recognition. He swerved into her, trying to run her off the road. Maya held steady, matched his speed, then dropped back and rammed his rear quarter panel. The SUV fishtailed. Brennan overcorrected, and the vehicle left the road, plowing through a snowbank before slamming into a tree. Steam hissed from the crumpled hood. Maya stopped, grabbed her weapon, and approached on foot. Ranger moved with her, low and ready. Brennan was trying to get out, blood running down his face from a head wound. He saw Maya coming and reached for his gun. "Don't," Maya said, her voice flat. Brennan's hand froze. He looked at her, at Ranger, at the barrel of her pistol pointed at his chest. "You're making a mistake," he said. "I'm a federal marshal. You touch me, you'll spend the rest of your life in prison." "You're a traitor," Maya said, "and 14 girls just went free because you failed." "They'll get more. There's always more." "You think stopping me changes anything?" Maya stepped closer, and something in her expression made Brennan flinch. "Get on your knees," she said. "Go to hell." Ranger lunged forward and locked his jaws around Brennan's wrist. The marshal screamed and dropped his weapon. Maya kicked it away, then pressed her gun to the back of his head while she zip-tied his hands. "You're under arrest," she said, "for human trafficking, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and being the kind of man who sells children for money." Sirens wailed in the distance. Lisa's team, coming fast. Maya held Brennan down until they arrived. Held him down until handcuffs replaced zip ties. Held him down until he was someone else's problem. Sheriff Vance tried to run further, made it another 15 miles before state police caught him at a roadblock. They found Emma Garcia's blood in his vehicle, found documents linking him to 43 missing women, found enough evidence to bury him for 6 lifetimes. When Maya got back to Sarah's ranch, Daniel was on the porch, waiting. He shouldn't have been standing, but there he was anyway, leaning on Sarah for support. "You got him," he said. "We got him," Maya corrected. "You, me, Lisa, everyone." "And the girls?" "Safe, all 14. Lisa's team is taking them to a federal safe house. Real federal agents this time. Daniel's legs gave out then, relief and exhaustion finally winning. Sarah caught him and guided him back inside, but not before he looked at Maya one more time. "Thank you," he said, "for not giving up." Maya watched him go, then sank down on the porch steps with Ranger beside her. Her hands were still shaking. Her shoulder screamed where she dislocated it jumping off the roof. But for the first time since Syria, the weight in her chest felt lighter. She'd made the call. She'd trusted her judgment. And this time, everyone she was trying to save had made it out alive. 3 days after the raid, Maya sat in a federal courthouse in Denver, watching Emma Garcia give her testimony. The girl's voice shook at first, then grew stronger as she described everything Sheriff Vance had done, everything he'd promised would happen to her if she didn't cooperate. The jury didn't look away. Neither did the judge. Daniel sat beside Maya in the gallery, his arm in a sling, his color better, but still carrying the hollow look of someone who'd been too close to death. He'd insisted on coming, despite Sarah's protests, said he needed to see this through. "She's brave," he whispered. "She's a survivor," Maya corrected. "There's a difference." On the stand, Emma finished her statement and looked directly at the defense table where Sheriff Marcus Vance sat in an orange jumpsuit, his face empty of the arrogance he'd worn like armor. The girl didn't flinch. She held his gaze until he looked away first. The prosecutor stood. "Ms. Garcia, can you identify the person who held you captive?" "Yes." Emma's finger pointed straight at Vance. "That's him. That's the man who said I didn't matter." The courtroom went silent. Then Emma looked at Maya, and something passed between them that didn't need words. Recognition. Gratitude. The knowledge that sometimes strangers become the family that saves you. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Vance got 6 consecutive life sentences without parole. Marshall Brennan got 4, plus federal charges that would keep him behind bars until he was 112. 12 deputies took plea deals, gave up names, exposed a network that reached into 4 states and 2 countries. The FBI recovered evidence of 89 victims over 8 years. 14 were rescued alive. The rest became names on headstones and case files that would haunt good agents for the rest of their careers. Maya testified twice, once about finding Daniel, once about the raid itself. Defense attorneys tried to paint her as a rogue operator, a SEAL with PTSD who'd gone cowboy and contaminated the entire investigation. Lisa Park shut that down in 15 minutes, with recorded communications, tactical logs, and a passionate speech about what real courage looked like. "Maya Reynolds didn't contaminate anything," Lisa said, her voice carrying through the courtroom. "She saved 14 lives while following every protocol that mattered. The ones that say we protect the innocent, no matter what." After the trial, Maya went back to Montana. Not to run this time, to rest. Sarah's ranch had become something close to home, and Sarah herself had become something close to a mother figure. The kind who pushed coffee into your hands and asked hard questions while pretending to check your shoulder injury. "You're healing," Sarah said one morning, watching Maya move through basic exercises Ranger had learned to supervise. "Physically," Maya said. "That's a start." Daniel called every few days at first, then every day, then started showing up in person when the Bureau transferred him to the Denver field office and gave him a promotion he didn't want but accepted anyway. He'd drive 4 hours just to have coffee, to sit on Sarah's porch, to talk about anything except the case that had nearly killed him. "You don't have to keep checking on me," Maya said during one of those visits. "I know," Daniel said, "but I want to." "Why?" He looked at her for a long moment. Because you're the first person in 3 years who didn't look at me like I was broken. Even when I was literally dying, you treated me like I still had something to offer. Maya's throat tightened. You saved those girls just as much as I did. Without your evidence, Brennan walks. Without your sacrifice, Emma never testifies. We saved each other then, Daniel said quietly. The words hung between them, true and terrifying. Maya had spent 6 months running from connection, from responsibility, from anything that might require her to trust herself again. But Daniel wasn't asking for promises or declarations. He was just sitting there, patient and solid and real. I'm not good at this, Maya said. Relationships. Normal things. Good. Neither am I. Daniel's mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile, but close. Maybe we can be bad at it together. 6 months became 8, became 10. Maya got cleared for active duty, but requested a transfer to K-9 training and victim advocacy instead. She couldn't go back to missions. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But she could train other handlers, could teach them what Ranger had taught her about trust and loyalty and refusing to leave people behind. Ranger retired from active service at 5 years old, with full military honors. The ceremony was small, just Maya and Daniel and Sarah, and a handful of handlers who understood what it meant when a dog gave everything for a mission. They gave him a medal and an official retirement certificate, and a new vest that said veteran instead of working. You earned it, Maya told him, her voice breaking. You earned all of it. Ranger's tail wagged once, slow and dignified, like he knew exactly what she meant. Emma Garcia came to visit that spring. She was 17 now, living with a foster family in Colorado, attending high school and therapy, and slowly rebuilding a life that had been stolen. She brought flowers for Sarah and a card for Maya that said simply, "Thank you for showing me that good people still exist." How are you doing? Maya asked over coffee. Some days are hard, Emma said honestly. I have nightmares. I can't be in small rooms without feeling like I'm back there. But my therapist says that's normal, that healing isn't linear. It's not, Maya agreed, but it does happen. Because of you. Because of you, Maya corrected. You're the one who survived. You're the one who testified. You're the one who chose to keep living, instead of letting what happened define you. Emma's eyes filled with tears. But what if I'm never okay again? Maya reached across the table and took her hand. Then you'll be not okay with people who love you anyway. And some days, that's enough. The girl cried then, and Maya let her, knowing sometimes tears were the only language grief understood. When Emma finally stopped, she looked at Maya with something that looked like hope. Do you think I can still have a normal life? College, friends, maybe fall in love someday? I think you can have anything you're willing to fight for, Maya said. And Emma, you're one of the strongest fighters I've ever met. A year after the raid, Maya stood in a cemetery in Montana, where they'd built a memorial for trafficking victims. 89 names carved into black granite, including the 43 Sheriff Vance had sold and the 46 other agencies had recovered from similar operations across the country. It wasn't enough. Would never be enough, but it was something. Daniel stood beside her, his hand finding hers without asking permission. He'd proposed 2 weeks ago, not with a grand gesture or a dramatic speech, just a quiet question over breakfast about whether she wanted to build something permanent together. Maya had said yes before she'd even realized she was speaking. You okay? Daniel asked now, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. I'm thinking about Syria, Maya admitted. About the people I couldn't save. And I think maybe they wouldn't want me to keep punishing myself. Maybe they'd want me to save the people I can reach. Daniel pulled her closer. You saved 14 girls, Maya. You stopped a trafficking ring that had been operating for 8 years. You arrested a corrupt marshal and a sheriff and 37 other people who thought they were untouchable. That's not nothing. I know. Maya looked at the names on the memorial. But it's not everyone. It never is. But it's enough to matter. Ranger walked up then, moving slower now at 6 years old, his muzzle grayer, but his eyes still sharp. He pressed against Maya's leg, and she rested her hand on his head, feeling the steady rise and fall of his breathing. He's getting older, Maya said quietly. We all are. I don't know what I'll do when he's gone. You'll grieve, Daniel said. And then you'll keep going, because that's what you do. The service was simple. A pastor spoke about redemption and second chances. Emma read a letter she'd written to the victims who didn't survive, promising to live well enough for all of them. Lisa Park stood at attention in her FBI jacket and saluted the memorial like it was a fallen soldier. Sarah Kim cried quietly, the way women do when they've seen too much suffering and not enough justice. When it was over, people scattered slowly, reluctant to leave. Maya stayed until the sun started setting, painting the sky orange and gold. Daniel waited with her, never pushing, never asking her to hurry her grief. I want to do this, Maya said finally. Get married, build a life, maybe train canine teams together. But I need you to know I'm still broken in places. So am I, Daniel said. But broken doesn't mean useless, and it definitely doesn't mean unlovable. Maya looked at him, this man who'd been buried alive and chose to keep fighting, who'd lost a daughter and still found room to care about other people's children, who'd seen the worst of humanity and refused to become cynical. When did you get so wise? She asked. When a 22-year-old SEAL with PTSD pulled me out of the snow and refused to let me die, Daniel said. She taught me that sometimes God's rescue plan looks impossible until it works. They were married that summer in the same chapel where Emma had been baptized 2 months earlier, the girls' way of reclaiming faith from people who'd tried to weaponize it. The ceremony was small, just family and the people who'd earned their place in the story. Lisa Park served as Maya's maid of honor, still FBI official even in a dress. Sarah walked Maya down the aisle because blood didn't always mean family, and family didn't always mean blood. Ranger attended in his veteran vest, sitting at Maya's feet during the vows, his presence a reminder that some promises were kept with loyalty instead of words. When the pastor asked if anyone objected, Emma Garcia stood up. The room went silent. Then the girl smiled. I don't object, she said. I just wanted to say, these are the 2 best people I know, and if anyone deserves happiness, it's them. Maya's vision blurred with tears. Daniel squeezed her hand. The pastor cleared his throat and continued. But the moment had shifted into something bigger than a wedding. It had become a testimony about survival, about choosing light when darkness tried to win, about ordinary people becoming heroes because someone needed saving. The reception lasted into the night. Torres and Chen showed up in suits that didn't quite fit, uncomfortable, but trying. Kowalski came on crutches, still recovering from his leg wound, but stubborn enough to dance anyway. Lisa gave a toast about good agents and better friends, and the kind of courage that didn't need medals to matter. Emma gave a toast too, her voice steady and sure. Maya told me once that healing isn't linear, Emma said. That some days you're okay, and some days you're not. And both of those things can be true at the same time. She was right. But she was also right about something else. That we don't heal alone. We heal in community, with people who refuse to give up on us, even when we've given up on ourselves. So here's to Maya and Daniel, 2 people who who saved my life and taught me that broken things can still be beautiful." The room erupted in applause. Maya stood and hugged Emma, this girl who'd been a stranger a year ago and was family now, bonded by trauma and triumph and the shared knowledge that they'd both survived something that should have killed them. Later, when the guests had gone and the night had settled into quiet, Maya and Daniel stood outside watching stars appear one by one against the darkness. Ranger dozed at their feet, content and safe. "You know what I realized?" Maya said. "What?" "I spent 6 months thinking I failed in Syria. But maybe the point wasn't that mission. Maybe the point was learning how to fail and keep going anyway. So when it mattered, when 14 girls needed someone who wouldn't quit, I knew how to be that person." Daniel pulled her close. "You think God was preparing you?" "I think God doesn't waste pain. He redeems it. And maybe that's the whole point of faith. Not that bad things don't happen, but that they don't get the final word." Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. Ranger's ears twitched, but he didn't move, too comfortable to investigate. Maya looked down at him, this animal who'd refused to walk past evil, who dug through snow because his partner needed saving, who taught her more about loyalty than 1,000 sermons ever could. "Thank you," she whispered to him, "for not giving up." Ranger's tail thumped once against the ground. Daniel's phone buzzed. He checked it, then showed Maya the screen. A message from Emma. "Just got accepted to college. Pre-law. I'm going to help people the way you helped me." Maya read it twice, feeling something settle in her chest that had been restless for too long. This was what redemption looked like. Not erasing the past, but building something good enough to balance the weight of what was lost. "We did okay," she said. "We did better than okay," Daniel corrected. "We saved lives. We stopped monsters. We gave 14 girls their future back. And we found each other in the process." Maya looked at her husband, at her dog, at the stars that had witnessed everything and kept shining anyway. She thought about Syria and snow, and the difference between surviving and living. She thought about second chances and the grace of ordinary moments after extraordinary trauma. "You know what the best part is?" Maya said. "What?" "Tomorrow, we get to wake up and do it again. Not the trauma, not the rescue, but the choosing. Choosing to show up, choosing to care, choosing to believe that broken people can still do beautiful things." Daniel kissed her forehead. "That's not the best part." "Then what is?" "The best part is that you finally believe you deserve to be happy." Maya opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. Because he was right. Somewhere between finding Daniel in the snow and watching Emma thrive, and marrying a man who saw her scars as proof of survival instead of failure, she'd started believing in her own redemption. The stars kept shining. Ranger kept breathing. Daniel kept holding her hand. And Maya finally understood what people meant when they said grace was a gift you couldn't earn, but could learn to receive. Sometimes rescue comes on 4 paws and a warrior's refusal to quit. Sometimes healing takes longer than you planned and hurts more than you expected. Sometimes the people you save end up saving you right back. But always, always, love is stronger than the winter that tried to bury you. And faith isn't the absence of doubt. It's choosing hope anyway, one small decision at a time, until the darkness realizes it never had a chance against the light you carried all along.